Hello viewers and welcome. This is your boy N90 and today's video is brought to you by Marvel Strike Force. I haven't really done a whole lot of Marvel videos in the past, but ISO 8 came out a day ago, and I don't know if you were like me, but when I first saw ISO 8 it kind of looked like trash and I didn't quite understand what it was, I guess. If you guys don't know, this is your chance to kind of understand it based on a newbie's level, I guess, in accordance to ISO 8, because I've never heard of ISO 8 until it came out for this. I know ISO 8 actually is in games like the Marvel Avengers and the Marvel Future Flight, as well as the what's the other one? The Marvel Ultimate Alliance. All those games already have ISO 8 introduced into their games, and it creates some sort of, not even really much of a balance anymore, but kind of a new experience to playing these games. So Marvel Strike Force hasn't had anything like that, and most of the characters that are in this game are pretty much already preset to reach a certain level once you max them out. So for people who are brand new to this game, ISO 8s aren't going to really help you out too much. I mean, it'll give you some very small, minor little boosts here and there, but ISO 8 is more geared towards people who are already maxed out their characters and they have nowhere else to go with them, and so some of their characters kind of become useless or just trash at certain points. But with ISO 8, it introduces this whole new idea that you can actually create your own team in your own different way. I've already been building up some characters here and there. I don't have a whole lot of ISO 8s myself because I'm not going to go into purchasing all sorts of stuff in this game with real money, so I'm going pretty much based on whatever it is I can get for free. Now, they did include a new energy system on the top right hand corner, if you can see over here, which is the ISO energy that you'll be using to collect as many ISOs as you can. Now, if you are a brand new player, I highly suggest getting these ISOs even if you don't really care too much about them, or etc. For those who are professionals or trying to be pros in this game, they're probably farming that shit like crazy right now, because they're going to be extremely useful in things like the Alliance War, the Alliance Raids, and the Dark Dimensions. Like, you have no idea. So it's going to build a whole chaotic system to this whole game. And there are a couple things you need to understand about the ISOs. First of which is that every character in this game pretty much can have their own ISO system, and you are able to build them however you'd like. I myself, I'm trying to kind of decide what I'm going to do with my characters, but just kind of give you just a fresh description as to what the game already tells you about ISOs. Let's just look at the Juggernaut right now. Now, there are no build guides as far as I can tell as to how people are building up their characters, because this is still brand new and fresh out of the oven, that people haven't really had a chance to really see what these guys can do with the ISO 8s. So for me, example, I'm building up my Juggernaut right now because he is my strongest homie right here. Right? He's got 91,000. He's not fully maxed out yet, but he's going to get there someday. So until that day comes when he gets that final star there, I'll actually have a pretty strong Juggernaut. So for him, I was able to finally get all of my ISO levels here completed, right? So all of them have these little chips in there. Now, some of you might be wondering, hey, I just did the whole tutorial where my shield officer over here, where is she at? Where she basically got everything instantly, right? It's like, why can't I get mine to be just like this, that's already got this little, healer level already, when the other characters can't do that? I was also wondering the same thing to myself, and I was like, hey, I only remember putting in like one of these little slots, and that's basically all I did, and they gave me access to this screen right here, which lets me equip one of the actual big center pieces, right? Well, they just did it just to kind of teach you what to do with that a little bit, and just to let you know that it's there. To be honest, if I was gonna define that, they just wanted to let you know that that's there for you if you decide to actually maneuver through that. But back to Juggernaut, right now I am building him at a very specific build, Now, I was going through these things one by one, trying to figure out like what's the difference between these raiders and skirmishes and healers. I know they've been talking about things here and there, like this one's pretty useful for, you know, protecting a player. Other ones are good for doing damage. Other ones are good for healing and whatnot. It's tough to say which one to really pick for your characters because, again, as far as I could tell, there's no real builds going on right now. So for my Juggernaut in particular, I was looking at all of these ISOs and I'm like, damn, a lot of these sound pretty neat. But the thing is, you know, Juggernaut, who's built as a tank, he's pretty much doesn't really need a whole lot because he can already survive for a very long time, especially with, you know, once he gets taunt, nothing affects him really, as far as I can tell. So when I looked at each of these things, I had to really look into deep down Juggernaut's heart to say, which one should I pick, right? Because understand the striker here, it tells you right there, right? It enhances the attacks and you gain an extra attack on vulnerable enemies. But with Juggernaut, it's like, man, if I really wanted Juggernaut to be a striker, do I really need him to attack twice? And in order for me to use Juggernaut, I would also need to have somebody else on the team who's going to create a character who's also vulnerable. And it's like, damn, but if I don't have a character who's vulnerable, who can create vulnerable status, then having this striker would be useless for Juggernaut. Which would be nice. I mean, Juggernaut does hit hard, but I don't know about having him do that second attack. So I decided not to do striker with him, because again, he's a tank. He's more of just the person who's supposed to be in the front, and that's basically all he is there supposed to be doing. So I jumped over to Fortifier, and it says they protect themselves with a barrier. And I was like, could I do that? Because, I mean, you'd be a 10,000 spawn barrier. However, with that in mind, Juggernaut's already a tank. Does he really need to have more of that? Because he really can't get his taunting ability until his second turn. So by the time he gets his second turn, he may not even have that barrier anymore, and it's just gone. So I was like, no, I'm not going to go with Fortifier with my Juggernaut. So instead I looked over to Healer. I'm like, should I really have him be a healer? Because he can last a very long time in the game without dying. And so it would make sense, you know what? He could be regenerating people in the background if people keep targeting him, right? But at the same time, I'm like, gosh, there's got to be something else better I could do with him. But Healer was really getting to me. Because I was like, I should probably put Healer for him, but I just didn't know what to do. So I went back and I'm like, let's do not do Healer, but let's look at Skirmisher. What should I do with Skirmishing? So the Skirmishing actually makes targets vulnerable, but that's all it does. So making a character vulnerable just basically means that it buffs up anybody who's a striker. So if you have a striker on your team, they'll be doing some pretty good massive damage plus double attacks to anybody that the Skirmisher is able to create into vulnerable powers, right? So I'm like, actually that would be pretty good, because if Juggernaut is in the game the entire time because he's already a tough guy to take down, it would make sense to give him the ability to possibly create vulnerable characters out there, right? So he gets to knock down their defense so that the strikers can come in and do that. So I'm like, maybe this one. Because that's what it does. All it does is it makes characters vulnerable, and eventually it will clear off positive effects as well. But that's later on when you actually can get this centerpiece to the Skirmisher to be maxed out. And lastly, I looked at the Raider. And I'm like, the Raider sounds pretty neat too, because not only does it do vulnerable, but it also increases a 15% of an increase to critical chance. And if you know Juggernaut, his third attack is pretty strong. So if you can somehow increase his critical hits, imagine how much damage it can do. Now I've seen him do his critical hits, and I did it within the Dark Dimension level 2, and it was massive when I used the Raider, because the Raider is what I chose for him. It was actually doing pretty good making people vulnerable, and from what I saw, because I don't have that clip saved, but it says that the critical or the vulnerable is supposed to only apply to the primary target but when I attacked with his third skill, it actually made 2 characters vulnerable. So I was like, holy shit. Imagine how much damage he could do with something like that. So I went along with the Raider, and I'm pretty happy about that. Now keep in mind that even though you equip one of these main skills in here, right? You know, Striker, Fortifier, Healer, Skirmisher, Raider. Just because you put that emblem into your character, it doesn't mean that it's there forever. You are able to actually switch between them whenever you'd like. And it's 100% free. So, at least for now. I don't know if they're going to change that later on in the future, but I would highly suggest messing with the system however you'd like. So that way you can kind of see what you like and what you don't like. So if you try to go for a healer with the character at one point and you're like, you know what, it actually pretty good, then keep the healer. But if you don't like it and you're like, you know what, I don't really like that my Juggernaut's healing people, because by the time he heals them or it's his turn, they're already dead, right? So why bother having healer and then switch to something else? So the thing is, if you're going to be going that route, by all means, go ahead and test it out. Just test it. You don't have to make a final decision anytime soon. You can test out all of these things. But do keep in mind that in order to get the centerpiece, you have to actually have at least one ISO in each of these 5 slots. If you don't have at least one in each of these slots, they won't let you put the centerpiece, sadly. Whoops. Let me take a look over here. So let's take a look at, because I want to do it with somebody else right now. What about, I need a Striker, because if I already have Juggernaut who's doing the vulnerable, it would make sense to work on a Striker next. And since Juggernaut is in my team with, what's it called, the Brotherhood, it would make sense to see who else on my Brotherhood team would be great in doing some more damage, right? So on my team, I actually have the Juggernaut, Magneto, Mystique, Sabretooth, and Mr. Sinister. For some reason, Mr. Sinister is not popping up on here, but he's in there. Mr. Sinister would probably be a better healer type character, to be honest, so I'm not going to mess with him. I'm thinking about Sabretooth might be a great choice for including him as a Raider, perhaps. Now, to get the Raider, let's see what I got to do. So, I only have one possible slot I can put in here, right? And this is just for the house. So we're going to equip this in here because why not? And now I'm missing 4 more pieces. So let's go ahead and try to find more pieces to put them in. Right now I can actually get one of these. Let's see if I can get lucky enough to get one. I did not. I have a lot of orbs left. I was already planning to spend them anyways. Let's keep going until I get at least one. Perfect, 1 out of 1. Got what I needed. So I put this puppy in here. There we go. Now I got 2 pieces. Let's get another one. Let's see if I get lucky on my first try. Nope, not lucky. Nope, not lucky. Nope. 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 No. Wow, that's incredible. There we go. Got it. Got it. Got it. It even makes a sound now, letting you know when you actually collect it. It's pretty neat. Alright. I got 3 slots. Let's get the 4th one in here. Let's get some more energy up in here. I have nothing to really want to spend on right now. I have like a shit ton of characters. There we go. I got it. My first try. Lucky me. Equipping that one. Normally you want to put ISOs that are actually going to be beneficial to your character, but right now, since I have a very limited supply of these things, I'm just picking whatever I can. Later on I'll fix it up. So there we go. I was able to get all 5 of them in. 5 stones to get the last one in here. So like I said, I want to be able to give him Striker because that sounds pretty neat. Like if my Juggernaut's able to be the Raider and he's going over there causing critical damage as well as making them vulnerable, then it would make sense to have somebody who can be a Striker in there. So let's put this one into him, because keep in mind, it says on primary hit, if the target is vulnerable, make an ISO bonus attack of 50%, which is pretty nice. And then it also clears off 1 vulnerable. His attack is based on the critical. Okay, so he gains 5% extra damage on that. Sadly, it does take away the vulnerable, But like I said, if Juggernaut's thing, if he keeps attacking, it's gonna hit him again, right? So let's go ahead and equip the Striker attack on him. And it's gonna make him just a little bit stronger. Just a little tiny bit. Not really noticeable. So he's got that for right now. Now keep in mind that you can actually upgrade not only the main center, because right now it's level 1, you can also level up the rest of these things, the other 5 pieces. Now why would you want to upgrade these things? Well, here's the answer to that. In order to actually upgrade the main centerpiece so that you can have level 2, level 3, level 4, and level 5 opened, you need to first make sure that each of these other levels are also at the same level that you want. So if you want the centerpiece to be at level 4, all of these have to be at level 4, right? And sadly, the way you can upgrade that is basically by fusing pieces so that you can get what you need to make it a level 2 ISO. So if I wanted to get this level 2, I have to get more pieces that are in here for the Brawler ISO. Let me see if I can find some. This one might be a toughie. Okay, I got none of that one, sadly. I am sad. Let's try this one. Ooh, couldn't get that one either. Okay, still cost 50. That's good. That's good. Let's get some more. Oh, I still couldn't get anything. All right, there you go. I got 3 out of 3. I got really lucky on this one. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to fuse it. So take a look at these. You can fuse them up to this one, all the way up to the level 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so now I can get this one up to level 2. Fuse it up. And it increases his power just a little tiny bit, but every little bit counts. So just keep in mind that you have to do that for every single one here, and then this will open up an option for you to get the level 2. And it's going to cost you another 5,000 to get it. Now is basically the time to get these things, because take a look at this ISO stuff. Like, I have 200,000, but that's going to go by like that. So if you're playing this game now and you're getting that, try not to waste it all too much, right? I would focus on teams that you really want to build up and not start putting ISOs everywhere. Because if you start putting ISOs everywhere, you're going to be losing a lot of ISOs. Unless you got the money to be like buying them repeatedly, then by all means go for it. But if you don't got the money and you don't got the time, then do not spend your ISOs on everyone. I would highly recommend picking a team, and within that team, setting them all up so they can all help each other out and support one another, so they can actually take out other team members. Because I'm pretty sure in the Alliance War, that shit's gonna be pretty tough when it's like, man, I used to take out the Brotherhood, I used to take out the Guardians or Red Skulls pretty easy, but now, goddamn, it is so freaking hard just to get to them. And it's mainly because these ISOs are probably going to be like one of the things that a lot of members are going to have to start fixing up, because you're going to start seeing characters who are going to be becoming vulnerable or just going to be going down a lot faster than they should be, and that's going to suck. That's going to suck badly. But the thing is, no need to fear. Just make sure that you let your Alliance members know that they need to buff up their ISOs immediately, right? But otherwise, that's pretty much all you need to know about the ISOs for right now. I'm not sure what they'll be doing later on in the future, but we'll see. Like I said, right now there's no real builds for all of the characters yet. I'm pretty sure within the week we're going to start seeing people building up stuff and then giving out advice and whatnot. But for right now, use this time to experiment. Experiment with your ISO, experiment with your characters, and figure out what it is you want to do with your team. Because right now, there's nowhere to look, and you can ask for advice, but nobody's going to really have a real answer for you. Because honestly, you're not going to really know the effect of your teams until you actually fight a team or an opponent who has ISOs equipped into their characters. And we're not going to really see any ISO stuff until probably, I'm guessing, next week or the next month. I don't know. It depends how long it takes for people to understand what to do with the ISOs and how to use them correctly. So right now, like I said, I highly recommend experiment and play with your characters. Do that non-stop right now. because this will be the only chance that you're going to have to actually get some kind of experimentation done before this game becomes a lot more competitive than it already is. Last but not least, I do want to advertise my alliance. I am constantly trying to bring in new members, new players into the game, and right now we are a few members short. We could use your assistance. By all means, if you're a high level, then you want to get into a group of people who are always trying to do their best, and we're trying to help out lower people, this is your chance. Because right now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 spots open right now. I would say 5, but we got one guy who just joined and he's still trying to set up his teams. We have 4 spots open. We are called the Defending Knights. Just send the application. This is a first come, first serve. And like I said, if you were a brand new player, I would probably be a lot better, because I like bringing in new players because they have questions and they want help and they just want to get to the next level. And it's really tough out there because you got alliances who are just looking for the best of the best, and I'm not looking for the best of the best. I'm looking at players who like to play casually, but at the same time they have a somewhat of a competitive drive to continue this game, because I want this game to be fun. I don't want it to be just nothing but professionals and being boring as hell all the time. And I know some members, all they want to do is win, 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 win. But what's the point? Eventually you are going to lose. And when people lose, that's when, like, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm leaving the alliance, whatever. I'm going to go with somebody who's better. But that's not what we are here. We are here just to have fun. We are here to help players. And I understand life is hard sometimes. And you may not be able to play the game like this all the time. But like I said, if you like to enjoy this game and you happen to join my alliance and you feel like you can't play this game anymore, by all means let me know. I will gladly let your spot go and go to somebody else who actually wants to enjoy this game out as much as it can. That's basically also my advice to other captains out there, or leaders shall I say, because they all have their own way of doing things, and like I said, people are going to be coming and going. Just let them enjoy the game. Alright, there's no need to be toxic or be a jerk in this game. Just have fun. And again, experiment, boys and girls. Experiment in this game to your heart's content. Alright? Well, that's it, folks. And I know there wasn't a whole lot of gameplay or anything like that, but I just wanted to kind of introduce you guys to the ISOs as much as I can. Like I said, this is an ISO 8 coming from somebody who was a noob to ISOs, because I have no idea how this works in other games from Marvel. But based on what I've read so far, and I'm looking up online, that's the way it's been explained to me in my own thoughts, I guess. So it's a basic introduction to this, even though the game already gives you a very simplified version, which again, it kind of confused me, but hopefully this kind of helps you out in understanding what to do. I'm sure more information will become available within the next couple of days or weeks, but until then, experiment, don't waste your ISOs, and work on one team at a time. That's what I would do, or at least that's what I'm going to be doing. But thanks for watching. Feel free to hit that follow or subscription button, whatever you fancy, I guess. And I'll catch you guys next time. Bye-zies!